Hey, what's up? This is Zach here at the GM podcast in Bangkok, Thailand. Super excited to get sweaty today. Just kidding. But maybe, but
No, it should be.
let's kick things off. I'd love it if you could kind of tell us about yourself, who
Yeah.
you are and what you're doing here today.
I'm Oleg. I'm co-founder of Sweatcoin and now Sweat Economy. We started Sweatcoin in 2014, and as name would suggest, we want to be on blockchain with a mission to make the world more physically active by turning your movement into currency. Um, Back in 2014, there was only Bitcoin that existed. It was too slow, too cumbersome, too expensive to build on. No smart contracts, whole raft of things. So we decided to launch centralized. And by 2021, when we finally found blockchain fast enough and robust enough to support us, we already had 120 million users in our Web2 business, Sweatcoin. Now, Web2 has 180 million users. Web3 has 18 million sweat holders, and you earn sweat by moving one foot in front of another. Us making very draconian verification, because as you can imagine, when you start paying people to walk, one of the first things people do is shake the phone, put the phone on the dog, put the phone on a rope and rotate it over the head, put the phone on a dishwasher.
Try and cheat, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just want to check how robust our systems are.
It's like playing a video game. You're looking
Exactly.
for
Yeah,
where you can come out of bounds or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Can you take a shortcut somewhere? And when people realize that no, they can't, we actually genuinely make you sweat in order for you to get sweat. And unless you're sweating, you're never going to be able to earn sweat. And then they start believing all of those leaderboards. And then they start believing in value of sweat, which is the reason why we're doing it. Because if you think that your movement has value, then you're moving more and you're creating wealth for you, for your family, for your doctor, actually, for your insurer, for your employer, for your healthcare provider, even for the country that you're living in. So we're building $1 trillion movement economy
Very cool.
with sweat in the middle of it.
I love it. And I think, it's growing. Obviously, people are becoming more
Oh, yeah.
health conscious, especially, people want to live longer and longer. So it's becoming a really important trend, not just in crypto, but globally. I think people are
Absolutely.
very interested in this. And I know you mentioned that you've kind of talked about sweat economy, which I think is a kind of a cool term.
Yeah.
Can you talk about maybe that transition from sweat coin to sweat economy and
Yeah.
really what that means?
I mean, we effectively invented Move to Earn in 2014. The problem with Move to Earn is twofold. You can't really move to earn enough to make a living. And that's what that word is promising. And there is another problem with Move to Earn. A bunch of companies launched in 21, 22 that basically created an impression in the market that Move to Earn is Ponzi. And we basically need to, go away from it because it's just too tarnished and it actually communicates wrong things. We call it movement economy, and of course, in our case, it's a sweat economy. And the reason for it is everyone understands the term attention economy. And over the last 20, 25 years, maybe, humanity built $7 trillion economy around you paying attention. Fundamentally, the way it works is Google takes your attention, sells it to the highest bidder, puts all the money in their pocket, and all you get is 2 gigs free with your Gmail.
If that, yeah, they're going to tighten it down too.
It's not an economy.
Yeah.
You're creating the value and you're getting none of it. We believe that being physically active and paying attention are very similar, both valuable to you. Otherwise, nature wouldn't have given you these abilities, these things. Both are valuable to third parties that are willing to pay for it. Advertisers pay for your attention. Healthcare providers, insurers, etc. are paying for your physical activity. We already have a contract with National Health Service in the UK that pays us to make people diagnosed with diabetes syndrome more active, because it saves hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of taxpayer money, because it makes these people become non-diabetic or prevent becoming diabetic. That extends their life, that extends their health span, that extends their economic impact on the country. So it just creates an incredible amount of value. And third thing, both are scarce. You don't have an unlimited amount of attention. Neither you have an unlimited amount of time and calories and ability to be physically active. If we manage to build $7 trillion economy out of paying attention, and right now there is no economy built around being physically active, this is what's coming. That's the next thing that we, humanity, are going to turn into a massive value creation. And trillions of dollars of value are going to be built around physical activity. And in order for it not to take 25 freaking years, as it did, and in order for it not to turn into centralized economy where 1, 2, 3 parties are taking all the value and everyone is screwed, we can decentralize it. We can tokenize your physical activity and we can give you, the creator of this value, all the financial and economic value that you have created rather than putting into one pocket. This way, you appreciate that physical activity has value. You start putting one foot in front of another more times. You are creating even more value because until we, on average, we, humanity, going to start walking so much that you're starting to exceed 12, 15,000 steps on average, we are not going to diminish returns. And right now, US is walking barely 3,000 steps a day. Europe walking 5,000 steps a day. There is so much ground to cover.
That's less than I would have thought in Europe.
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you that everyone's talking about 10,000 steps, but very, very few people are actually hitting that on a daily basis.
I think it's fascinating. Kind of going into more into, I guess, the sweat economy, sort of what kind of people are the biggest users of this and where in the world are they,
Yeah. I mean, we're everywhere with the exception of China and Russia.
Okay.
So we have huge user bases, interestingly, not in the poorest countries, not in the most developed countries. Because if you think about it, everyone in the US is already sort of obsessed about health, fitness, running, etc. But the value that right now physical activity generates is not necessarily attractive enough or material enough for them. Not yet, anyway. And when we are talking about the poorest countries, then there is a struggle, and penetration of even smartphones is not necessarily 100%. But if you're starting to look at middle ground, like countries like Ukraine, countries in the Middle East, countries in North Africa, countries in the whole of Latin and South America, like Brazil, is humongous market for us. Developing countries in Asia, India is absolutely incredibly attractive because the consciousness and the awareness of necessity to be healthy is there, but they don't necessarily have all that income to pay for a gym, personal trainer, have a gym at home and all of that gym equipment. And here is a proposition that tells them, look, we pay you to be active. People kind of go, I know I need to be healthier. I don't need to spend any extra time because they're not telling me to go to a gym and spend hours per day. And they're paying me? Fucking hell. Let's go. And, the adoption is absolutely incredible. And it's largely word of mouth because, people are like, you know what? This guy's paying me to walk. Like, what? Yeah. How does that work? And a lot of people accused us over the years, like, you're selling data. No, we don't. With the use base as big as we are not really playing with it. And that's actually the reason why we're based in Europe. We don't even have data servers in the US or anywhere outside of the GDPR zone because we want to have the most draconian privacy protecting laws in the world guarding user data. So that, in the US, it's very well known that FBI or whatever can just send you an email and say, I want to know so-and-so about this and that. And in Europe, we just say, okay, here is GDPR answer, go through the standard code process. It never happened. But, it gives us so much kind of ability to basically stand our ground and really protect our users' data. And we figured out how to make money. In Web 2, we've been profitable for a number of years. And people still don't believe it. They're like, you pay people to walk and you're profitable? Well, yeah. You can make money because physically active people are incredibly attractive market if you're health, fitness, vanity, fashion, makeup, dog accessories, for example, is a fantastic business that loves working with us because, guess what? Dog accessories are for dog owners. Dog owners walk their dogs, they move quite a lot. So if you're targeting physically active people, you actually have 3 to 4x over proportionate number of dog owners. So, kind of things like that make it very, very attractive for us as a partner, for these businesses to partner with us. So yeah, it's been a fantastic journey. And in Web3, it is even more interesting because in Web3, we have an additional asset, which is our own token that we can monetize, swap fee, trading fees, on-ramp, off-ramp, etc. So all of a sudden, we now on track to become profitable. And in Web3, very few people talk about revenues. We're actually talking about profit because I don't want to live off treasury. I want to be a self-sustaining business that is independent of craziness of markets. Today, it's 3 trillion, by the way, we've grown from 2 to 3 trillion literally in 3 weeks, I think.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. But for a long time, it's been very, very low. And if you're not generating revenue, if you're not generating profit, then you're hostage of crypto markets and the swings, bull, bear. And I don't want us to do that. I want us to continue to grow and become truly mass market products. I do believe that we can become a billion user business, given how ubiquitous our proposition is. I mean, it's a free app and everyone's got legs.
Yeah.
And we pay them to walk. And we're profitable by doing that. How difficult is that as a marketing proposition for users and for investors as well? I mean, we build something that's got real business in it, but it has an incredibly good societal impact because, unlike Google with do no evil, but we're making money by making you stick to a screen for a very, very long time, and the longer you stare at it, the more money we make. That's not a win-win situation. We make money by making you more physically active. That's a win-win situation. So, we are privileged in our position that the further we push our mission, the more money we make, the better you are off as well. It's not to like.
I like that. A win-win for the consumer. Can you talk a little bit? I mean, we're here in Thailand here at DevCon, sort of getting into the technology. Like, what blockchain did you guys built on your own blockchain, and sort of, why are you here in Thailand?
Yeah, I'm here for DevCon, for meeting a lot of people that I already know and making some new friends. So I'm really happy to be here and talking to your audience. I've also came here because there was a redacted on NearCon, as it used to be called, yesterday, the day before yesterday and yesterday, and we're building on Near. Because when in 2021 we realized that blockchain tech became fast enough and robust enough, we analyzed 14 different chains, and we narrowed it down to 2, Solana and Near. And the reason is that with our user base in Web2, we needed 1,500 transactions per second at peak throughput. And there aren't that many chains that are capable of doing that, especially in 2021. And Near was actually the only one that delivered that. And in addition, because of their sharded architecture, they gave us confidence that we don't have a ceiling if we continue to scale and if we continue bringing users, that we're not going to all of a sudden hit the magic number and all of a sudden everyone's fee is going to go through the roof. Everyone is going to get really, really scared and run for the hills and chain will die, which is inevitable for most EVMs. EVM architecture has a hard stop at 525 transactions per second. And there is nothing that can be done to accelerate it further unless EVM architecture changes, which means that future mass market consumer crypto products cannot be built on EVM. You cannot build Visa, you cannot build MasterCard on EVM chains, which is why we're continuing after 2 years of building on Near, being very excited. And we believe that we made absolutely the right choice.
I like the Near team a lot, by the way.
Yeah,
They're great guys. So
they're amazing builders, and the stuff that they do right now is absolutely phenomenal. But I'll delve into it in a second. But there is a bigger picture, and I'm sure that you guys talk to quite a lot of blockchain people, and in DEF CON, you're gonna meet some heavy hitters. There is an observation that I would make given my age, because I remember 90s, I remember 2000s, I remember 2010s. And I can tell you that this very much reminds me of the end of 90s, because we are now in the infrastructure bubble in Web3. It is exactly the same feeling as it was 97, 98, 99 in internet. The largest company in the world back then was Cisco. Juniper Networks, Sun Microsystems were all very, very high on the list. All the money on the internet were going into data centers, cables, building infrastructure. Dot-com bubble burst in 2000. Everyone started looking for a new narrative. And the new narrative was focused on active users, and eventually became known as consumer internet. And that gave us Google in 2003. It gave us Facebook in 2007. And all the money, all the returns on the internet were actually made post year 2000, because it wasn't infrastructure that generated those returns. It was consumer kind of mass market propositions that ended up generating all that value. We in Web3 are in a very similar situation. There are more than 1,000 chains in existence. Some people say 1,800, but I'm yet to see full and complete. I mean, there are some crazy, crazy chains, and every chain is born every day. I mean, if you really start tracking it, it's absolutely crazy. There are about 200 projects are being built in stealth right now, as far as I know, and this is what has been confirmed by various different investors and VCs. Now, if you're looking at dApps, so decentralized apps, so products built for the end user that have more than 1,000 users, your count is going to be less than 600. Now, that's really weird. 1,000 railway companies are chasing 600 carriages to run on them. That's a bit crazy. That is exactly opposite of what we know will be happening. So we need fewer chains, or more importantly, we need a lot more carriages. We need a lot more dApps being built, but there is very little happening on that front. VCs don't necessarily know how to fund dApps, how to know what is going to be the winning formula.
It's hard, even for consumers. Like Farcaster, Lens, there's going to be a lot.
Exactly. But there is a lot less innovation happening there right now, because investors are dubious and uncertain how to invest into that space. And founders are not necessarily seeking funding, because few that tried are saying that, look, it's very, very difficult. It's easier for me to put a plan saying that I'm going to build an L1, then I'm going to get 10 to 20 million, and then I'll bolt on this dApp on the back of it, so that I don't have to talk about the dApp, because investors are not going to understand it. And until we, together with capital allocators, are really figuring this out and starting to talk to the founding community and starting to fund these dApps, we are going to continue having an overinvestment in the infrastructure that has zero hope in hell in returning money, because in long run, you cannot live off community and railways unless railway is carrying goods and is doing something. So unless we build those carriages and unless we build those dApps that are using these rails, we can pump it, we can tell whatever infinite amount of stories and AMAs, but ultimately, unless railway is working, it will eventually die and the returns are going to be zero. So we need to start focusing on dApps. And that's my kind of main message to the crypto community. The money of the future are going to be made in consumer crypto, not in the infrastructure. And it's also architectural, because the only place where you can actually make money or generate fees is the place where a human confirms the transaction. Everything else is automated. Everything else is done through smart contracts. Everything else will scale linearly with usage. But that instance where you confirm, I want to swap this for that, and these are the fees that I'll pay, that's where the margin is generated. And it is generated in a place where user trusts to keep their private key, and that is the front end. That key is not kept on chain. That key is not kept on a DEX. That key is not kept on centralized exchange. It is kept in the wallet on the front end. And front ends are going to be the future, and that's where the real battle of the future is going to happen, because even blockchains of the future are going to basically get an allocation of activity by front ends. Because it's not user is going to determine what carriage or what transfer protocol is going to be used. It is going to be front end that will do that, because they'll look at it and they go, my user wants cheap, fast, and secure, and whatever chain is delivering that is going to get all the traffic.
For our users and for our watchers here, I definitely recommend that you check this out, because I think you're probably already walking, so
Yeah.
you might as well make the most of it. I just want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview. We'd love to kind of learn more in the future, and I encourage everyone who's watching this to check them out. And yeah, I just appreciate you. Any closing words?
No, I'm just going to say that, look, Sweat Wallet effectively is a non-custodial wallet like anything else, but we pay you to move, which means that Sweat token, which you can use as gas on any chain, effectively you pay your fees with your feet. What's
Fees with your feet. That's a good quote right there. That should be on a t-shirt.
I'll have that. So we literally let you walk into crypto, and then we let you pay your fees with your feet. So,
well, thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Appreciate
Thank you very
it.
much for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Genzio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a house.
No, we do not understand that we do not have.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Get back at the Genzio Media House.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.